Hey everyone. In my past videos, I've covered the importance of not missing contractual deadlines when buying property in Florida. And one of the main deadlines where we see issues arise is with the inspection period deadline when using our most common Florida Realtor Florida bar as is contract. Hi, I'm Nick Furios, the real estate Greek, longtime Central Florida broker. Let's talk about it. Here's what happens most often. Buyer completes their inspection. Buyer's agent sends a request to the listing agent with a list of items the buyer wants addressed by the seller, either for seller repair or credit in lieu of repair or a combination of the two. Keep in mind, using our Florida Realtor Florida bar as is contract, the seller doesn't have to agree or even respond to the buyer's request. The problem is that many agents think by sending the buyer's request prior to the deadline that their buyer's deposit is protected should the seller not agree or even respond after the deadline passes. However, that's not what our as-is contract states. The contract states the buyer is to provide written notice to terminate the contract prior to expiration of the inspection period. And speaking with many attorneys over the years, by just sending a list of issues buyer wants a seller to take care of does not technically provide written notice to terminate the contract. If the deadline passes without seller's response or seller not agreeing to the buyer's request after the deadline, the buyer could lose their deposit if the buyer truly doesn't want to move forward. Of course, the buyer could have an option to terminate, perhaps with another contingency in the contract, but the buyer may not want to wait or deal with another possible option to cancel the contract later on. Best practice to alleviate the buyer from potentially losing their deposit is to send an email providing the seller with the buyer's written notice to terminate per our paragraph 12. In addition, the email could also state something like, however, if seller agrees to the buyer's request, buyer will move forward with an addendum reflecting the agreed upon terms and proceed with the contract. The important thing is the buyer's deposit is protected should the seller not respond to the request or delay in responding after the deadline if they don't agree to the buyer's request at all. Another best practice, if at all possible, is to not wait until the last day or even the day before the deadline that passes to provide a buyer's list of issues. Give yourself some time and breathing room if possible to negotiate. For more real estate tips, follow, like, comment, and share. And agents, if you're not receiving sound advice or timely responses from your broker or the money that you desire or opportunities to grow your business with marketing, tech, education that's second to none, hit me up. I'd love to show you what we can do. Have a blessed day, everyone. See you soon.